Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
To open the hood, we'll go inside the vehicle, pull the latch just below the bottom of the dashboard, right near your left knee. So open the hood up, release the safety catch. It's right here. Push it to the passenger side, lift it up. Prop rod is here. So there's two positions, your normal position, and then if you want a little extra headroom, you can move it to the service position. Put the prop rod in place. Brake fluid reservoir is here for the master cylinder. On both sides, there's a minimum line and a maximum line. So this one's actually pretty full. It's above the maximum line. If you needed to add any, you could unscrew it. It says right on the top of the cap the type of fluid to use, .3. There's actually a little mesh screen in here so that things don't fall in here. You could add your fluid right here with a funnel, and just be careful to clean up any brake fluid if you spill it, because it can ruin paint. So when you're all done, just replace the cap, kind of find the locks for it, and tighten it back down. To check the engine oil, it's located right here next to the filler cap. Basically all these yellow handles or caps are the types of fluids that you should check. So we can pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, reinstall the dipstick, and then check it. You can just see there's two marks. There's a lower hole here and an upper hole here, and then a little notch, and the oil is just at the top of that notch, so it's full, maybe like a tiny bit low, but there's also an F there and probably an L under the oil. Just can't see it because it's dirty. This car has plenty of oil in it, so we don't need to add any. You can just put the dipstick back in. If you needed to add oil, just simply unscrew the cap. These can be on here pretty tight. It is a plastic cap though, so it should come off. It does have a rubber O-ring. So just put your funnel in here, add the appropriate oil, 5W30, and fill it up to the correct amount, and then recheck with your dipstick. And then when you're done, this just threads back on. I'm going to check the windshield washer reservoir. You can simply open the cap. This does have a dipstick on it. It's just at the bottom of the dipstick. But typically what I do with windshield washer fluid, if you think it's low, just fill it back up. The bottle is translucent. You can see the fluid in there. So let's fill this back up. Leave this out. These usually hold about a gallon. I like to fill them right to the top. It's not going to hurt anything. Reinstall the cap, clip right in place. This is your coolant overflow reservoir. It does have lines on it. So we have a low and a full, and you can kind of see through it. So it's actually overfull. So if you open up the cap, you can look down inside, see how high that coolant is. This actually has too much coolant in it, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. And if this is low, you'll want to add coolant to it. And then of course, there's typically a reason why this would be low. So when the vehicle is cool, you can open the radiator cap. You don't want to do this when it's hot because it's filled with steam, it can burn you. But when it's cool, you can open it and just double check to make sure that the radiator has coolant in it. And this has coolant just at the top of the radiator. So you can see right there, coolant's right at the top of the filler neck. So this radiator is full. If it was dry, you'd want to add coolant to the radiator first and then add it to your overflow, because that might tell you that there's somewhere a coolant leak and it should be investigated. But this one looks all right. I'm not quite sure why it's overfull, but we'll leave that for now. Check the power steering fluid level. There is a minimum cold and a hot minimum, and then a cold max and a hot max. So it's kind of looking at the lines, it's at hot minimum, but the line is almost the same with the cold max, and the vehicle is cold right now. So power steering level, the power steering fluid level is basically at the correct height. If you want to add some, you can simply open the cap. Pops off. It does have a little bit of a dipstick in there so you can see the condition of the fluid. Just take a tiny funnel and add the appropriate fluid. Dexron ATF, does say it on the cap. And when you're done, you can reinstall the cap, put it in place. It has arrows, tells you how to close it, and you're all set. This vehicle has an automatic transmission. Now to check the fluid level, the vehicle should be running. Let's start the vehicle. With the vehicle running, you can check the automatic transmission fluid. Reach down here, there's a yellow dipstick handle on the driver's side. We'll wipe it off, reinstall it. The vehicle is cold, so you've got two sets of marks. You've got cold low, cold high, hot low, hot high. Now it does seem to have a little bit too much fluid in it. Just check it again. Now it's been running for a minute or two. The reason why you have to check it while it's running, because the automatic transmission pumps the fluid through the, there we go. That's better. So it's closer to the cold full mark, which makes sense because the vehicle is cold. And when the engine is running, it's spinning the transmission, it's pumping fluid through the transmission, and that's why it gives you an accurate reading on the fluid level. Otherwise, when the vehicle is not running, the fluid drains down into the pan, and you'll think that your transmission is over full when it's actually not. So you always want to check it while the vehicle is running, because the automatic transmission is basically pumping fluid around it, and that's the more accurate way to check it. Just reinstall it, and if you had to, you could stick your funnel into that dipstick tube and add the appropriate amount of fluid to bring it up to the correct level. Check the oil level in the front differential, because this is an all-wheel drive vehicle. You can reach down, there's a yellow dipstick, pull it out. So you can check the condition and level of the fluid. I'm going to wipe it off, put the dipstick back in. So actually, let me turn it around so it's not upside down. So there's a low mark and a full mark. So it's actually at the low mark, so you can add a little bit of gear oil to it. This would be different from the transmission fluid. This is gear oil because it's for the differential. So you would add the appropriate gear oil. It's probably like a quarter of a quart, half a quart to bring it up to full. You can add it through the dipstick hole with a long funnel. Then you recheck it with the dipstick. And of course, if you were changing the fluid, you'd raise and support the vehicle, the jack and jack stands. You drain your gear oil out with the appropriate drain plug. Then you could reinstall the drain plug and refill it through the dipstick hole until it's at the full mark. But that's all set, so I'm going to reinstall it.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.